Okay, what new skill did you learn?
Bra fitting. I now know how to fit a bra.
I think mine it is. I've learned how to fluff a cushion.
Oh, very nice. It's the simple things.
Is it fluffing a cushion and bra fitting the same skill?
No, Dave.
In your mind, perhaps. Hey, I'm Ange.
And I'm Beck.
And we are the Gold Diggers. Because we believe there's gold found in everyone.
Everyone is unique, interesting and exciting with a great story to share.
And we aim to find it.
The question is, can we rise to the challenge and strike gold?
I need my sugar.
So today we're going to do a Caviar and Cactus, which is all about New Year. We're just into 2024, so Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
I hope you had great New Year celebrations.
Happy New Year to you, Ange.
And to you.
Thank you.
We would have just had our dress-up New Year's party.
We will have. Yes. And it will have been awesome.
Yes, I'm sure it will have.
And we will have looked amazing in our costumes, whatever they will have been.
Exactly. So this is a time of year where we're actually going to look back. We're going to reflect on 2023. Now, last week's episode, we did our highlights episode where we looked back at our year in podcasting and talked about our highlights from that. But we're going to do this now for us personally and look back at the year and some of those notable moments in our life for that year. So I just have a list of a few questions that we can run through. And neither Beck or I have actually had time to really think about these answers. So these are going to be completely off the cuff.
It's really on the fly today.
Unrehearsed.
That's it. You're going to hear the raw truth.
It's true. And this is our last episode that we're recording of 2023 for next year. And so we are now just about to wind down for the Christmas season.
That's it. Feeling a little on the tired side after a big year, hey?
It is. But it is around the time of year that I do start looking into next year. We've already started planning some of the big rocks that we've got for next year, some of the exciting things that are coming up. But first of all, let's click back and
reflect
at 2023. So, Beck, what do you think is probably one of the most standout memories for this year?
I would have to say 2023's standout memory was becoming a grandmother.
Yes, that was pretty big.
It was. So,
any particular moment in that?
I think the first one was when I went to Bree's ultrasound with her and saw the very first little speck of our baby Max.
Yeah.
And
wow.
That was like I didn't even know we were looking for a baby. I thought she was going in for other tests. And so that was the beginning of what I saw of Max. And then the standout moment of his birth was that he was 3 weeks early, and we had quite a few things going on with our youngest daughter Summer's graduation, and the baby was coming up 3 weeks later, but it all converged on the one day.
Yeah.
So Summer graduated and the baby was born on the very same day.
It's amazing.
So that was huge and very memorable.
Yeah. You will know that birthday. You'll know that date, really, won't you, for the rest of your life now?
Absolutely, yes. And it's so special. Like, he's such an adorable little baby. And the feelings that you feel as a grandma, like, I kind of wanted to just know what that felt like, because I talk to lots of people and they're like, oh, you wait till you're a grandma. Like, there's such it's so beautiful. And they're like, oh, it's the best thing. And I guess, I'm very new to it, very, very new to it. But the feelings I get is you actually love this little baby like you love your own children, except you miss them because you're not with them all the time. Yeah. Whereas with your own children, you have them with you all the time. But you've got this new little person who's the next generation down that still belongs to you and your family and becomes part of your tribe. So it's this whole protective mothering thing that kind of mothers over the baby's parents and over the baby. So
yeah, and I guess there's kind of some different things to navigate now, because obviously you're grandparenting, so there's that extra layer, isn't there, of sort of parenting in between.
Yeah, I think
So
your
does it
wings just
feel
become
different?
bigger. Yeah, it feels like your wings become bigger. You're putting your wings around more people.
Aw,
So,
that's a really lovely way of putting it. Oh, I love that.
Aw.
Yeah.
But I'm yet to discover more of the ins and outs of grandparenting. So it's, like I said, it's still very, very fresh. I'm a newbie.
Yes, you
And
are.
I'm enjoying hearing other people's experiences. So come and tell me your experiences.
Yeah, and you've you had that moment as well where you said about you were reading to baby Max the book that you'd written, which was a really special moment.
Yes, because I'd written this book 14 years earlier when my children were little, and they grew up on these stories, but I didn't have the right illustrator for them. And then my youngest daughter grew up to be an award-winning artist, and it was time that we all decided it's time to do the illustrations for this book. So the Little Mustard Seed was born, and the night that we uploaded it for print was the night that Brie went into labour to have Max. So the book is dedicated to Max, and the first time I got to read it to Max, he was only 2 weeks old. Maybe not even that. And he opened his eyes and he looked at me and was quiet the whole time, like he was soaking it in. It was a really special moment. So
in that 1 week, you released a book, had a grandchild,
yes,
became a grandparent,
yes,
and graduated your final child through school.
that's right. It was huge.
It was a big week for you.
It's like a whole year into one week.
Yeah. And talking to graduation, I'd probably say that was my most memorable moment for us in our family for this past year.
Because Dara graduated.
He did, yeah. I mean, after 3 years at the con, and I know we've talked about, these things previously, but that moment for me kind of wasn't just about the 3 years that he'd been studying. It was about his whole journey as a musician.
Yeah.
And the accomplishment, because as parents, we're with them on the journey.
Yeah.
For the majority of the time, we're with them on the journey. We're either encouraging them, we're either helping guide or shape them, particularly early on when they're young, taking them to rehearsals, taking them to music lessons, paying for practice, praying for tutors and all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
So we are as invested into this moment as they are. And so there's this incredible sense of accomplishment. And I think in particular for Dara, because he was given that diagnosis of severe dyslexia as a young person, and really never given much hope that he would be able to get much of an education, because he's just always going to struggle. And he still has his struggles, but he's learnt how to navigate around them and just continue to persevere and push in. And so it was an incredibly proud moment for us as parents to see him walk on that stage, pick up his degree. And
you guys really have cheered him on the whole way. Like every performance, you've just been right there for him, which has been super beautiful to watch. And we've gone to some of his performances along the way, and just to see his progress, and he's always been an amazing musician, but to see that progress and the benefits of having gone through that, he's really just become such a great musician. So.
Well, there was this jaw-dropping moment when he was doing his final recital, which was only a few weeks before his graduation, and he'd been preparing this. It was almost like a concerto, and it was 30 minutes of playing the marimba in front of an adjudicator, and he memorized all 30 minutes of his performance. It didn't even take sheet music onto the stage with him. He memorized it all to perfection.
That was a complex piece too.
Yeah, well, because you guys were there, and I mean, it was kind of like this jaw-dropping moment, like where I was thinking, that's my son.
Yeah.
Like, he's doing this thing that's pretty incredible, really.
And that moment when you jumped out of your seat and said, "That's my son," that was gold right there. That didn't really happen.
But inside
in your head it did. Yeah.
And just watching him, like, Yeah, just watching him perform and really seeing what a performer he's become
Yes.
and how skilled he's become at what he does.
And the confidence.
Yeah.
Great.
So it was one of those beautiful moments that I don't think I'll ever forget
Yeah.
of just watching him soar
Yes.
and watching him in his sweet spot, which I think as a parent you always want to see that and have those moments, and no matter how you've journeyed with your kids.
Yeah.
And, and he hasn't had the easiest year this year. He's had
Yeah.
quite a difficult year in lots of ways. And so to see him end really well like that was a very moving moment.
You must be so proud of him, even just seeing how he's come through some difficulties this year. And he really has thrived at the end of it, hasn't he?
He has, he's done a full circle. Yeah.
He's probably in a better space than he's been in, really. 'Cause I think that just elevates you to another level when you have to push through difficulties.
Yeah, and I think that's the part of looking back and reflecting on a year. You think about, okay, what are some of the things, how have I grown this year? What are some of the things that I've learned? And some of those difficult things in life actually can produce the best gold.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I really feel that that's happened for Dara.
Yeah.
He's worked through some of the probably darker times of his life to date.
Yeah.
But the gold that it's produced was worth the journey.
Yeah,
For all of us, because I think when your kids go through stuff, you go through stuff,
That's
and you're
right.
you're in it with them, and
Yeah.
and so I kind of look back and really appreciative of the journey he's gone through this year, but to see that final kind of push at the end and to see him really shine was just a beautiful moment I won't forget.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do you think is one of the bravest things you've done this year?
Oh, the bravest things. I think it was stepping out and working in retail.
Yes.
I'd say that was it. We had some financial difficulties this year, which required me to stretch myself a bit more and work extra long than I already do.
Yeah.
But it pushed me into a field of work that I haven't been in since I was a teenager. So on top of running my own businesses, when you run your own business, they fluctuate a bit. So you do need your consistency income as well. So that's what retail did for me. It gave me some consistency. But I think the braveness in that was just stepping into a space I wasn't comfortable in to begin with, and just being determined to make it work. And I guess I just went in with the whole thought of whatever I do, I want to enjoy it. So I'm going to find what I enjoy in this space and I guess
you
elaborate
embraced
on
it
that.
so well. You just, I saw you shine in that.
I think you have to make up your mind to. You have to choose to. You have to go, well, if this is what I'm going to do, then I'm going to choose to enjoy it, and I'm going to choose to do my very best at it, whatever you put your hand to. I think that is the key to enjoying your life. You just have to step into it.
Yeah, I agree. I think you just took on that challenge really well. You've done it so with joy. You've really been quite joyful through it, and you've embraced it, and you've really tried to mine the gold out of it, which you have done so well.
Well, it's brought along a lot of surprises with it, and I just feel so much love for the women that come into that store, and having that time to talk with women and them to talk with me, just conversations that you can't have just on a passing by kind of interaction. It's getting into this space together and just talking about life and different stages of life and things that they go through. Even this past week, I've had a couple of women come through. One lady has had an awful year, and she's had a double mastectomy. She was diagnosed with cancer a year ago. She had a double mastectomy in this last year, and she's now reflecting on probably the worst year of her life.
Wow.
And so we got to talk about that. I got to fit her in something that she was really happy with. But we also got to talk about, well, look where you are now. Like, that was caught in time. You're still alive, and you're past the worst of it. And just mulling over that conversation together, she left with a smile on her face and just feeling heard. And I was left with more understanding towards what oncology patients are going through, and what that looks like for them, what it feels like for them. So it's just a beautiful space and surprising space to be in. It's a growth area.
Yeah. Well, you've really grown with it. I think probably for me, one of the bravest things I've done this year is in the area of parenting.
Yeah.
And I think when you are a parent to young adults, you go into kind of this it's a whole different way of parenting to when they're kids, and there comes a transition for a parent where you really have to recognize that you need to change. And so I think for me, some of that is about letting go and realizing that you've given them as much as you can, you've imparted into them the wisdom that you've got, and it really is up to them to decide some of the things for their life.
That letting go is hard, isn't it?
It's so hard. And then even letting go when you see that the choices that they're making aren't the best choices for them.
Yeah.
That can be really difficult because you want to take control, you want to avoid the pitfalls, and you want to help them and guide them. But there comes a point where really, actually, it's almost like you're over-parenting to do that. You need to give them space to make some decisions, even to make some mistakes.
Yeah.
So for me, I think some of the bravest things that I've done this year is in that area where I've stood back and just watched and to see what happens without saying anything.
And I was saying before, like, you've done that so well, and Dara has actually expressed to you that he has seen what you've done, that he's acknowledged your protection and your wisdom and your guidance in that space with gratefulness, hasn't he? He's grateful for that. But it's like we were saying before about how there's that phrase that says, if you love someone, set them free. If they were yours, they'll come back. If they don't come back, they're never yours to begin with. And you did that. You had to let it loose, and it's worked beautifully. It's a hard transition. So I feel for any parents out there that maybe you're in that transition time, that you've got young adults and having to. It's not even really necessarily about them. It's about addressing how are you parenting at this point, because you need to change the way that you're guiding your kids. Because they're adults now, and you almost have to trust, as hard as it is, that they actually are capable of making the right decision for themselves. That's the bravery right there, is being able to let go a bit.
And Dara is wonderful. He's coming on to an episode in a few weeks' time, so you're going to get to hear from him. But we're just super proud of him, and he has grown a lot this year, and we have grown a lot as parents this year. So that I think bravery, sometimes taking that leap of faith or taking that step of bravery, does actually produce so much gold and produces a better you as a result.
For sure.
Yeah. So what would be the thing that surprised you the most this year?
Surprised me.
The baby came early?
Yes. That was definitely a surprise. I think what surprised me was being pushed beyond my limits again, and being able to do it well, I think. I guess if someone presents you with something and says, you're going to have to do this year, and I think if we look at things ahead of time, we'd think, I don't know if I could do that this year, or I don't know if I'm capable of stretching that much. And then you do, and you get to the end of the year and you're like, I survived with the grace of God. We got there. And I'm still alive, so that's good. Still kicking, still smiling. So I think that surprised me.
I think sometimes when you get taken by surprise by something, it's that initial shock, isn't it? And then the adrenaline starts pumping, and you have to then be creative in how do I get around this, or and you guys have done that. Problem solve. You do that so well. You really do, because you're a very creative family, but you do think outside the box of how can we make this work, and you're really great at coming together as a family to do that.
Yeah, and it is a stretching thing, but I think stretching is good for us. I think it makes a bigger person out of you, makes you capable of more things, doesn't it? So, how about you?
Well, I'm surprised that I'm now in a different location to where I was at the start of the year. That kind of came a bit out of the blue. So
that wasn't on the books at the beginning of the year, was it?
No. But just the sequence of events that were happening through this year, it kind of came as a bit of a suddenly, let's just move house.
Yeah.
And so that, I guess what surprised me, A, moving house, but B, was how old I am.
How old you are?
Well, I thought I was really fit up until I moved house.
Yeah.
And now I'm like lifting boxes, walking up and down the stairs. The house is a lot bigger than I was living in previously. So the amount of steps I'm doing each day.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm getting old.
You wouldn't need to go to the gym with all those steps.
Yeah, I know. So I'm probably ending the year not as fit as I was at the start of the year, but the house is helping. No, I realise it was massive. Just moving house. It took 3 days literally to move all of our stuff. And countless loads of truckloads and that. I don't know where we were storing it all. I don't really, honestly don't. But anyway, it took a long time, and it's took us a long time to get settled. So, yeah, I was surprised what toll that actually has taken on me physically.
Yeah.
They say moving house is like one of the most stressful things you can do, isn't it?
It is. It's right up there with death and divorce, isn't it? They're the three things, death,
well,
divorce, and
it
house
almost
moves.
caused the other two.
Who was going to kill who?
One is a catalyst for the other, isn't it?
Well, you all survived and you're smiling.
We're
for
still
it.
here. We got through the
That's
other
it.
side.
And you're actually looking really relaxed. Like for the year that you've had, I think there's like we were saying before about stretching and growing in strength. I feel like you've stretched and grown in strength, and you're feeling happy and relaxed.
Well, I think that's the other thing really that surprised me is my fortitude to go through a storm. Yeah. And I'd say that for Noel too. Both of us, we came together when we went through quite a serious trial this year. And I think it's when you go through the fire, you really realise what you're made of.
Yes.
And I discovered things about myself that I can make tough decisions that are going to hurt me, that are going to be painful, but they're the right decisions to make. Yeah. I get quite emotional now talking about that because it's very difficult, particularly in the area of parenting. And so I think I discovered a lot more about myself, that I'm stronger than I thought I was.
Yeah. We're a lot more resilient than we think, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. You're crying on my behalf, Beck.
It's been a big year, hasn't it?
It has, yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, what do you wish you'd done differently?
We normally take a holiday at the end of the year, and we didn't really get to do that this year. So if we could do something differently, I would have loved to have taken a holiday.
Yeah, right.
That would be probably the thing I've missed. But in saying that, little Maxie has certainly made up for any loss that we felt from that.
Yeah.
And we still we're still aiming to take a holiday.
So what have you done for rest? Because, rest is important. And if you're not, for me, holidays, I think, that chance to escape, just reset.
Yes.
So have you had those moments where you've been able to do that?
I actually don't think I've done that well this year. I don't think I've rested well. And I definitely feel like when I was younger, I had chronic fatigue syndrome when I was a teenager. And since I had that, I can read little signs when my body needs rest, and I've noticed those signs coming up. So I know that I need to, and I will, but I probably haven't done it well this year.
What would be some of those signs?
Probably racing mind, like I'm constantly thinking of the next thing to do. So I'm not resting my mind. I'm sleeping really well. I feel little heart flutters.
Yeah.
probably just that whole, I know that I haven't stopped. So just needing that wind down time. I'm not taking the wind down time, especially this end of the year. I've been pushing out books with the publishing. So we've published 5 books in this last end of the year. That's
a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. And that's on top of retail and piano teaching and everything else.
Becoming a grandparent.
And becoming a grandparent,
and your children graduating.
That's right. And I've released 2 of my own books this year, as well as publishing other people's books as well. So it's been huge as far as publishing goes. It's been huge as far as like taking on another job on top of that and still teaching piano and becoming, like we just said, grandparent, mother of 4. It's been a massive year and I've done probably too much. But in saying that, I'm happy with everything I've done. I'm happy with the way it all turned out. But once I hit that light at the end of the tunnel, I'm going to take a rest.
Yeah, well-deserved rest.
Yeah, it's been massive.
Yeah.
So I think I might sleep for a week. Who knows?
Yeah.
How about you?
I think probably the thing that I would have wanted to do differently was just to trust my gut a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, when things start getting out of your control a little bit, I have a tendency to be a bit of a control freak, and I like to have planned ahead and know what's going to happen. But when it's things that are personal to you and they're outside of your control, I can go into this kind of, I wouldn't say panic, but I think 10 steps ahead, and I always preempt things and then I work back from there. And sometimes I don't think that works in my favour. Like if you're organising events or you're planning your next year's diary, it works great. But when it's actually personal things, I think sometimes thinking too far ahead actually is of detriment. And that's probably one of the things I wish I'd done differently, is actually just kind of relaxed and trusted a little bit more. And that's probably where my faith comes in, is actually to have, trusted in God a lot more in some of those seasons. But I had a lot of people praying with us, and it's in those times, isn't it, when it's like where things are out of your control and you can almost feel a little bit hopeless. And there have been moments like that for me this year, that you really depend on the prayers and the support of people around you.
Oh, definitely.
And we've had that in droves. And I'm so grateful, you all know who you are, that have helped us this year.
Yes.
In that.
Yeah.
And it is really when we're weak. Well, scriptures tell us when we're weak, he is strong.
Yeah.
And, so I'm not kind of upset that maybe I felt weak in those moments. It's just the fact that I perhaps didn't trust that he was strong enough in those moments. But God's always proved himself faithful. And we've come through that season and really relied on a lot of people to support and pray with us and be with us through that. And so, I think that's probably one of the areas where I'd say
that's awesome.
I'd have done differently.
Because I think when we have these stretching times, we do become more dependent on God, because we need him more, and we realize our humanness and we can't do it in our own strength, and we need the help of God in those spaces. And I know for myself, like I read the Bible every morning. There was probably 1 or 2 days I didn't, and I really, really noticed those days. I was more anxious. The day didn't flow as well. And so it brought me straight back to the next day. I'm not missing that again, because for me, that fills me up. That sets an anchor for my day. Like, it's just, I need that to do that. And so
to function,
so I think, when we are stretched and when we go through tough times, we definitely, that dependence on God is vital, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's almost like when you're in a crisis, you can sometimes forget what God has done in your life.
Yeah.
And actually remembering those things, how he's pulled you through. For me, I've seen him pull us through so many things, time and time and time again.
Yeah.
He's only ever proved himself faithful.
Yes.
To us. And I'm like, so that's probably the thing that I wish I'd done differently, is just remember just how faithful he is, and not have panicked as much as I did.
Right. It's so good to remember, isn't it? And counting our blessings.
Yeah.
It makes all the difference, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, we did that whole episode, that podcast on thankfulness and gratitude, and I really am done the second half of this year. I'm so grateful.
Yes.
For the pressure that we were under and the journey that we've been through, but the result of that has brought out so much gold for all of us. So, yeah. Okay, what new skill did you learn?
Bra fitting. I now know how to fit a bra. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
I would not have thought. This time last year, if you said you were going to become a bra fitter, I would have laughed. But yes, that is my new skill.
Wow, congratulations. That's quite a skill to have.
Apparently I do it well, so if you need your bra fitter,
And how
come
have you
and
got
see
this
me.
feedback?
Oh, they tell me. And it works for them, so come and see me if you need a bra fitted.
I think mine it is. I've learned how to fluff a cushion.
Oh, very nice. It's the simple things, isn't it?
So, just to give you
Is there a skill to this?
there is a skill,
Okay,
right? So I've been
do
working with an
tell.
interior designer. She's helped us with our house. And each time she comes in, she kind of all corrects how I've judged something else, because she's really good at judging.
Yes.
But she's taught me how you fluff a cushion. You kind of, you pad it together.
Yes.
And particularly if it's a feather cushion, you pad it together and you get it all full of air. Then you put it into position and then you almost karate chop it right in the middle, so the two corners pop up and there's like an indent in the middle.
Wow.
So now my thing is every morning I go around karate chop all my
That's
pillows.
great.
So that's a new skill I've learned. Thank
we
you,
love
Lisa.
don't we? Yes. Well done, Lisa.
Isn't fluffing a cushion and bra fitting the same skill?
No, Dave.
In your mind, perhaps.
You don't have to fluff a bra or fit a cushion.
Okay, so what did you learn about yourself this year?
I think I'm
That you
stronger
can
than I
fluff a
thought I
cushion?
was.
But-
Yeah. I think, I can, when I need to stretch, I can.
Yeah.
And I know I've done many years of stretching, but when you think you've stretched enough, you can still stretch some more
Yeah.
and in a totally different direction. So I think that's what I've learned the most.
Yeah, I think you've really kind of embraced that idea of, I was heading in this direction to get to that destination, but that road's now blocked. I'm going to have to find a new way around.
Yeah.
You're still heading in the same direction, but you've just taken a different.
I just
Had
had
to
to add
take it.
something because I'm still going there, but I've had to add something to help that go there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you're really good at being able to, I call it pivot. You're really good at being able to pivot. So I've seen that skill in you.
I think I've just had to. I think when you have to do something, you just have to put your mind to it and go, all right, that's what's needed. That's what needs to be done.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How about you?
Oh, what was the question? What have I learnt about myself? I think that I can make tough decisions
Yeah.
that are risky ones, but the right ones sometimes. And I think it's hard to do that. So I've learnt that I can do the hard things and make the hard decisions, which is a great skill, I
Yes.
guess, to be able to do that.
Yeah. And I think this year's been a year well lived, don't you think?
Yeah, I do.
As hard as it's been,
Yeah.
I think it's definitely had its benefits.
And there's so much gold at the end of it that
Yeah.
we can see for both of us.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that perhaps is a reflection of all of you as well, that you may have been through some difficult times this year. You may have had some real struggles and trials, but look for the gold in those situations, because it will be there.
That's right.
In how you've overcome something, how you've addressed something, some of the decisions you've made, there's always going to be gold.
And just as we've had a new birth in our family this year, sometimes life is like giving birth. It can hurt a lot, but you get a prize at the end of it.
So what's 2024 look like for you now, Beck?
Yeah, wow. Well, to be honest, I haven't thought a lot about it because I've just been so consumed in getting all this stuff done. But just stopping now to think about that, I'm quite excited. I love new beginnings. And
There has to be a holiday in it
yes,
this year.
there will be a holiday. I don't know how, but it will happen. Just speaking that out. Yes, I think I will take more time to rest and still do what I need to do as well. But I think I'll just try and get that balance better.
Yeah.
And continue doing what I'm doing. We'll see what else happens.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think we're going to do a bit of travelling this year. We've got a few trips planned. And just really looking at what's going to happen for Dara, because, it's unwritten at the moment. He's looking at doing a bit of time overseas himself.
Yeah.
So where that takes him, I don't know.
You might end up in Nashville too.
Wow, that's true. Like, he's thinking of going to Nashville.
Yeah.
And just looking at some opportunities there.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know,
That'd be
but I think
amazing.
travel's going to be on the cards for us too.
Sounds good. Just pack me in your suitcase.
Yeah, come with us, Beck. So that's it from us for today's podcast. We want to wish you all a very happy, healthy, prosperous and fulfilling 2024. And whatever it brings, may you find the gold in your year.
Happy New Year.
So that's it for today's podcast. You'll find us on all the major podcast platforms. The podcasts come out every Wednesday. We'd love to hear from you on our socials, the Gold Diggers Podcast. Tell us about your story so we can find the gold in you.
Easy as pie, lemon, apple or cherry. Loving you is so very sweet, sweet, sweet. How can it be such a piece of cake? And your smile is the icing. Loving you is a poem. Honey, you're my sugar.